Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. I'm John, and roughly a decade ago, the indie pop and alternative band Foster the People dropped their first album, Torches. Young naive me gave this a really horrible review that I'm incredibly embarrassed by, and no, I don't mean horrible as in I just scorched the album, I hated it. I mean horrible as in the entire 5-minute review was me sitting around doing literally anything but discussing the album in any sort of detail whatsoever. So with that immense guilt finally off of my shoulders, I can move towards redemption with this episode of I Got It Wrong.
Hey guys, what's going on? John from Album Review TV here today, reviewing a little bit older album. It came out over a year ago. It's Torches by Foster the People.
I was late to the party even back when I was still Album Review TV. You know, the good old days. I had covered the original 3-song debut EP at the top of 2011, but somehow never got a break in my ever so busy schedule to talk about Torches until like a year later. You would have thought that that could be a good thing, you know, more time to absorb the album's themes, feel more confident in my opinions, right? Yeah, no, none of that.
Besides pumped up kicks, the album is just full of more upbeat music a lot of the time, and a lot of tracks that just flying synths and guitars, and you can hear the keyboards in the background. Everything is well produced, well done by Mark Foster and the gang.
And the gang? The gang, John. Why are you talking like this?
What do you see, gang?
I see me being largely terrible at reviewing music, so let's move past it and not beat a dead horse too much. Fetus John just needed a little nurturing and culture to keep going, you know, water him like a flower. Viral doesn't even begin to describe Foster the People's breakthrough. It was one of the earliest memories I have of witnessing a band skyrocket after being largely unknown, and I was actually there at the door begging to be let in. Somehow I'd discovered Pumped Up Kicks before it was huge. I probably picked it up from Alt Nation or something, and I bought that first EP featuring tracks from this album day one. That lead single is now certified diamond, which is unheard of for an alternative band in the 21st century. And to top it all off, it's not just some run-of-the-mill pop song, it's bright enough musically, it could fool you, but you already know that that's not where the story ends. Kicks is dark as hell, written from the lyrical viewpoint of a school shooter who got bullied one too many times, so he went home, got his dad's gun, and started shooting at the popular kids around him.
I like the lyrics on a lot of the tracks on the album, and it's just got a really nice kind of soft pop rock at times vibe to it. You know, mild alternative music.
What's amazing to me is that I definitely understood the twisted meaning in Pumped Up Kicks, even when a lot of my friends turned a blind eye to the subject, yet I somehow completely failed to realize and even connect the dots for the rest of the album lyrically. In my defense, I'm gonna have to plead naivety, and while part of me misses being that carefree to not even take notice, Mark Foster deserves way more credit for the vantage points and the politics he was able to slip in. There's a lot more to these puzzle pieces than you might think. At surface level, you look and you see some new indie pop band strut in, you see a few hits to their name, and the tendency might be to shrug them off as shallow. It happens, but Torches takes on an exceptional role in that the LP rewards you the more times you spin it. Immediate catchiness is practically brimming from 80% of the songs, but you might be surprised if you revisit this album and pay attention to the way things were crafted. From the blasts of trumpet, colorful engaging bursts of synth, the hammering melodies that linger in the air, this is flat out fun to listen to even when you take out of the equation what Foster is singing about. Now that begs the question, what is he singing about? For pop-friendly songs musically, they're a little less than mainstream-friendly as Houdini brilliantly parlays to expose the darkness of celebrity, Waste cracks the tear duct with a beautiful showing of dedication in dealing with a partner's mental illness, and another example, Call It What You Want, that one cracks the whip on the music industry itself, which is really funny to me considering they were signed to a major label.
Torches, not the longest LP ever, only 10 songs. It's become a favorite of bands as of late.
For whatever reason, I went off on a tangent about albums getting shorter around the start of the 2010s, and I guess that could have been a valid point had I actually taken it anywhere. Looking back, Torches hits the sweet spot for the overall runtime. Any longer and it might have overstayed its welcome, any shorter and they wouldn't have had the longer songs that take a little bit more time to bloom. Those first 3 singles from the EP that carried over to the album all remain close to my head and my heart, not just for the sake of nostalgia, but I listened to them all so damn much that they're just permanently carved into the back of my brain. Pumped Up Kicks lost its shine for me after a while, but not to the point where I'd get furious if someone started playing it. It's still a brilliant tune, and the whistling gets after me to this day, but I've heard it 1, 2, 300 times too many to care about all that much. That is the opposite of true for the others, because H is for Helena Beat and Houdini. These are 2 of the best indie songs of their decade, with Houdini probably landing somewhere in my top 50 favorite songs of the 2010s. The infectious synths go wild as Foster builds this up to the point of bursting, the angelic choir vocals on top of his with that trumpet in the background, it all sounds ridiculously good. Seeing this one live at Bonnaroo 2012 was such an experience, definitely something I'll never forget. For a band that was still so new to touring for huge crowds at that time, they delivered. Helena Beat stares Foster's problematic behaviors in the eye as a plan is formed to make sure that he doesn't slip back down into darkness again. Heroin and other drugs rolled in Mark's circle for a while, as did some of his other self-inflicted wounds, so the purpose of this oddly catchy track was to set in stone a commitment to staying on the right path. The flying vocals, jangly guitars, and bubbly synths might make you think twice, but this is yet again another gloomy moment on a seemingly colorful LP. Colors are indeed aplenty, my friends. That's why I segued so smoothly into discussing another one of my top favorites, Don't Stop Color on the Walls. This one actually is colorful. It's not just a trick, boys, we made it to the other side! There's definitely a few love songs on Torches, or maybe just a few that involve a romantic partner somehow, but nothing scratches the itch quite like the breezy Don't Stop. I still don't care that much for a few that bring up the rear of the album, minus the closer Warrant, of course, which is amazing, on the run, boppable, musically potent, so definitely not that one. I'm talking about mid-tier cuts, like I Would Do Anything for You. Foster have some good beats. It's kind of quirky, but it's almost like 2 or 3 songs smashed into one. Falsetto vocals look less like a tuxedo and more like a suit from Walmart on some of the album's weaker moments. Mark breaks them out on Miss You, which speaks fluent relationship trauma without really saying anything convincing. And on the psychedelic trip-hop adventure Life on the Nickel, that's one that I just cannot stand vocally. Those high-octave notes roll by on an extremely repetitive chorus, it grinds my gears, and it's really a bit nauseating for the faint of heart. Looking back over the report card, I really can't complain too much. I mean, I'm definitely annoyed at some of the choices they made here and there, but Torches is a hyper-focused, extremely catchy, deeper than expected indie pop alternative experiment gone right. The fact that I'm turning on the camera 10 years later to talk about it, it means they made an impact that I can still feel. Painting a canvas with fluid colors can be tricky, but Foster the People somehow managed to pull it off in style. I failed to even rate the album in my original review, too busy beating around the bush I guess, but my updated rating reveal in this episode of I Got It Wrong turns the dial to a smooth 4 out of 5. Can you believe it's been 10 years of Torches? Let me know your thoughts on this album down below, along with any thoughts you might have had on this I Got It Wrong, and catch up on more episodes of this series by clicking right here. My Patreon is linked in the description down below if you'd like to help support the channel. Shout out to my current $75 patrons Brandon, Dayton, and Sombre Artist. I've got a lot of other videos on the way for both channels, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.